Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am Makki, student of MMAI Buchroo. Today I am going to share 3 secret keys to happiness with you. So 3 keys to happiness. The first is to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the center of your life. You can't be happy if you don't know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. When you learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will love Him. You will understand the world and the realities of it. When you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that controls everything in this world and that can fulfill all your needs, you feel empowered. When you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Wadud, the most loving. When you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the wise and everything in this world happens with His divine wisdom. Next time you raise your hands and you go, Ya Rabb, knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you know, it's interesting that in the past 50 years, a new field of psychology was born. It's called positive psychology. While they study about positive emotions, and what they found was that happy people wake up every morning knowing their purpose in life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it very clear in Quran what our purpose is. He subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, I have made the jinnas and the mankind only to worship me, and that's their purpose. Allahu Akbar. And you know, it's interesting that our Prophet Muhammad used to do a sunnah. And it is a sunnah that most of the people don't know. He used to wake up every morning and recite last 10 ayats of Surah Al-Imran. Surah number 3, starting from the verse 190 till the end. When you go to bed today, make a note that tomorrow when you wake up, you will recite those 10 ayats. And you will also read the translation. You will see everything. What I am telling that psychologists have found how we can be happy is in those 10 ayats. Allahu Akbar. And inshallah ta'ala, hopefully we all can start doing it from today, reviving the sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad and remembering ourselves the purpose of our lives every single day. Inshallah ta'ala. Now, when you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you start trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings about happiness. Trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having that belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which Musa had. That while he was standing in front of the Red Sea and Pharaoh and his army were on his back and all the men around him was telling him, oh no, we are done, you brought us to our destruction. What was his response? Kalla, no way, my Lord is with me, He will guide me through this. Knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can have that unbreakable tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings about happiness. Worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings about happiness because we are fulfilling our purpose in life. And something very beautifully is narrated by our Prophet Muhammad that when he said, if you are happy with your good deeds and saddened by your bad deeds, you are a believer. Listen again. If you are happy with your good deeds and saddened by your evil or bad deeds, you are a believer. Allahu Akbar. You worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should cultivate happiness in your heart. And one of the ways to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reciting the Quran. And something very beautifully is in the tafsir of Surah Taha. There's a mafhum where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we have not revealed the Quran so that you can be sad or miserable. What is the tafsir of that? The opposite meaning is that we have revealed the Quran so that you can be happy. Allahu Akbar. Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah said something very beautifully. He said, I have not seen anything that nourishes the mind, the soul, protects the body and guarantees happiness more than looking into the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the men from Salaf asked him, how much Quran should we read? And he replied, equivalent to the amount of happiness we are looking for. Subhanallah. Worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings about happiness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself says in a hadith Qudsi, O son of Adam, devote yourself to my worship and I shall fill your heart with immense happiness and contentment. Allahu Akbar. Now, in nutshell, what is the first key to happiness? Is know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make your relationship correct with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Strong with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you make it strong with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will find your purpose in life. And when you find your purpose in life, you will definitely find your happiness in life. Now, second and the third key will be continued in the next video.